Welcome to Breaking the Barrier, a podcast focused on Western trailblazers who are breaking barriers both in and out of the arena. I'm your host, Rebel Sjeklocha, and today we're visiting with Merriman, Nebraska native and first-time Wrangler National Finals Rodeo qualifier in the bareback riding, Garrett Shadbolt. Garrett, to start, give us some background on your season and some of the pivotal rodeos that contributed to your success this year.
Oh, well, thanks for having me. Obviously my most successful year to date, the first time getting to the National Finals Rodeo. For me, the season really started out with the circuit finals and making it to the Ram National Circuit Finals in Kissimmee, Florida. That was really early in the winter, and I went out there. I finished second at the Ram National Circuit Finals, and kind of won a pile out of there. And getting that early of a start, I was number one in the world, I believe, after the Ram National Circuit Finals on Money One, so getting to go to those big winter rodeos, set number one in the world, kind of will give guys some confidence and help the judges to kind of look at you a little bit. But I also drew some really good bucking horses at San Antonio and San Angelo, those big winter rodeos, and pulled some big checks out of there. Those early big wins in the wintertime really put me up there in the standings, and then it was easier for me to hold on to that spot than try to chase it like I had in previous years.
Absolutely. So to build a little bit, how does a strong start like that contribute to your confidence as you head into the summer? Oh,
it's great. Half of riding rough stock or more is about your mental game and your confidence. I mean, you won't be able to ride anything if you don't believe you can ride it. Having that hot start and, being number one, number two, number five in the world is obviously makes you feel pretty confident, makes you feel like you belong when you show up at those big rodeos. And also, it was a tip to me that I'd made some improvements in my riding this year over last year, and that was a big confidence boost. I've been trying to improve my riding. This is my third year riding professionally, but just horses of this caliber was new to me just a few years ago, and being able to make these big 89, 90-point rides on some of these really strong bucking horses, something I've been struggling with a little bit, but I think my riding has improved, and that's really made a difference at those critical moments when you get that really good horse drawn at that really big rodeo.
So you've been riding professionally for 3 years, but when did you start riding bareback horses, and when did you make the decision that this is something you really wanted to buckle down and pursue?
I got on my first bareback horse when I believe I was a senior in high school. I got on quite a few saddle bronc horses before I ever ran my hand in the rigging, but my dad used to ride barebacks when I was growing up, and I didn't really get that early of a start at it. I wasn't really all that interested in it, honestly, growing up. Eventually, I got on some ranch broncs and thought that was pretty fun and ended up in the bareback rigging. And after I ran my hand in the bareback rigging, I kind of quit the ranch bronc riding and the saddle bronc riding pretty fast. I started riding quite a bit better in the bareback ride. I did a little bit of high school rodeo my senior year, but the spring of my senior year, I got flipped over the front on this horse and hit my face and actually broke my cheekbone in my eye socket. And that was a bit of a recovery, and I didn't get to rodeo any more high school rodeos, and I never really rodeoed in high school that seriously because of that. I think 6 weeks a day after I broke my face, I nodded on another one, and I haven't really looked back since. It wasn't until I was in college, I believe junior in college, that I got my permit, which means you can go to you can go to pro rodeos. You're not exactly a full card member, but you can go to pro rodeos. But through college, I was riding in the Nebraska State and the South Dakota State amateur associations pretty steady throughout the summers, getting on 30 or 40 head of bucking horses. And for the most part, I was riding, I had that amateur associations kind of topped out, and I was looking for a little more horsepower, really, and that's kind of what got me to get my permit and start going to those pro shows, just looking for a little more horsepower.
So I want to back up and build a little bit on something you said about your high school rodeo experience. I know a lot of competitors at the high school level feel if they don't qualify for the National High School Finals or have a lot of success at the high school level, that may inhibit them from performing at the next level. What would you tell a high school competitor who maybe has this mindset and kind of relate it back to your story?
Oh, I think high school rodeo is just getting warmed up. I think that depending on where you live, your amateur circuits can be really a great place to go rodeo, to keep rodeoing. I wouldn't sweat high school so much. I think it's great to make big goals in high school and all that, it's a great stepping stone. But if you're like me and you get a late start riding bucking horses or whatever, it's fine. If you shouldn't be getting on them until you're comfortable and confident to give it a try and go out there and give it 100%. So, if you get a late start, it's not the end of the road for you, for sure.
So bareback riding is obviously a very physically demanding event. How do you take care of your body as you're going up and down the road?
Well, going up and down the road is a little different than off season, I suppose, but mostly going up and down the road, the biggest thing is trying to eat healthy and treating your body right with getting the nutrients and stuff you need. And it's really tough to do. Eating healthy while you're traveling is just tough, really tough. Unless you want to go sit down at a fancy steakhouse or something, you better be going to Walmart and you better be buying yourself something to eat and making up some sandwiches and stuff. You start eating fast food every day and you'll be run down in no time at all. And, just your lots of stretching and warming up and more like light exercises. Usually if you're rodeoing hard, if you're staying out on the road, you're already torturing your body so much you're not really going to be trying to make gains as far as muscle-wise and stuff, just staying limbered up and treating any injuries that you have with ice and all that. In the off-season and throughout my rodeo career, I've always been a wrestler, and I think my wrestling is paid off in the form of rodeo, just a ton. And especially bareback riding, it's a really physically demanding event, and it requires you to be pretty strong and athletic. And I think all those years I spent wrestling, I wrestled through college and high school, and coming out of that, put my body into a condition where I was prepared physically to ride bucking horses at a high level,
So kind of switching gears a little bit, you're from the Nebraska Sandhills, which are obviously pretty sparsely populated, but the community of people up there is pretty strong. So could you just speak a little bit to the support that you've received while on the road this year?
Oh, you wouldn't believe it. I have a great community behind me, and the people from this area have made it really helped me care a lot about what I'm doing. There's a lot of people following me, and with this Cowboy channel putting rodeos on the air now, people are being able to watch a lot more. But I'm sponsored by the Fuel Grill in Gordon, and if I'm riding in a real big rodeo, there'll be 20 people in there, and the owner, Marlon, he's a good friend of families. He'll have me up on the TV, and, having that support at home is just incredible. And it really gives me something to be proud to go out and kind of put on the map. I just know that there's people here behind me, and getting to go out to the National Finals Rodeo and kind of put Merriman, Nebraska, the Sandhills on the map is sure an exciting thing for me, and I'm glad to be able to support the people back home,
From the outside looking in, this appears to be a very exciting time in your life. Not only have you qualified for your first NFR, but your wife is also expecting a baby. I can imagine you're feeling pretty on top of the world right now.
My wife, Katie's expecting her second child here this weekend. So,
oh, wow.
It's going to be crunch time getting to the finals. But, we're go-getters, me and my wife both. And there's a lot of opportunity right now, but a lot of stuff going on too. And we've got a son, George, who's almost 2 now, and just all sorts of things that we've got to do. But everything that we're doing right now is stuff that I like to do, and we're just excited to go out there and give it our best,
So you're at a really exciting stage of life right now, but you didn't get here overnight. Who would you say has been the most influential person in your life and in your rodeo career?
Oh, my dad. He rode bareback horses growing up, and I think he could have been really good, but he didn't really ever get the chance to rodeo full time. He had to work on the ranch, and his dad wasn't quite as supportive. So then me growing up, he never really pushed rodeo on me. But once I picked it up, he was really there for me to show me the ropes and everything. But I've learned everything from my work ethic to my attitude, and then of course all my fundamentals in bareback riding, and having that good family structure. My mom and my dad have put me down the road, especially early in my career, And then my wife, Katie, has been with me since we were seniors in high school, and always having someone on your team has really made a difference in my life, and it takes a lot of people to get somebody to the national finals, to the top of the competitive sport, and the support system that I've had has just been unbelievable.
So you're headed to the national finals, 10th in the standings. What is your strategy, and what are some goals that you have for the finals this year?
My main goal for the finals is to stay in the top 10. I set that goal at the very beginning of this year. I wanted to finish in the top 10. I'm sitting number 10 right now. I was number 7 until the last week, so that's kind of the goal that I have right now. Just because I've never been to the finals. I don't really know exactly what to expect. I've been on some of these horses at this caliber, but I've never been on 10 of them in a row. There's a tremendous mountain for me to climb, and I'm excited to do it, but obviously a little nervous for sure. But that is my goal for the finals. My number one goal is just to glorify God in what I'm doing with rodeo, and I think that's really important to me. That is the most important thing to me. But as far as the NFR goes, I'm hoping to finish in the top 10 when the dust settles after the last one.
There will certainly be a strong pen of horses at the national finals, but talk a little bit about the difference in caliber of horses from the amateur ranks to the PRCA, and then wrapping things up with the best of the best at the NFR.
Yeah, at your amateur rodeos, you get a lot of horses that they'll buck, but they're not gonna kick way over their head every jump or anything like that. And when you have something that goes out there and is really outstanding and really has just a special attitude, something that's really, really wants to buck and isn't going to just stop doing it after a year or whatever, they'll usually end up at the PRCA. You start going to these professional rodeos and you find out pretty soon that it can be a little bit of a drawing contest because it's luck of the draw what horse you get when you get to the rodeo. And there's just some horses that the judges really score high that really just jump way up in the air, kick way over their head, and will really give a guy the power he needs to make a really good spurt ride. And there's a handful of these horses like that. And if you see one of their names next to your name when you get your call back, you know that you have a chance to go to that rodeo and win some money. These are the outstanding horses. You memorize their names and you hope to see them next to your callbacks. And then at the end of the year, and there's usually, 2, 3, 4 of these horses at every big pro rodeo, and the guys are always placing on them. And then you go to the National Finals Rodeo and you look at the list of horses we've got that were taken, and it's just every one of those horses, So anything that I draw at the National Finals Rodeo is something that I've hoped to draw at a different rodeo, if that makes sense, So they've just got the deck is stacked in your favor to make a big ride, and I'm super excited to get out there and get on some of these really, truly special horses that are just, it's just a God-given thing that they were born to buck, and that's what they want to do.
What is it about the sport and bareback riding in particular that makes you want to keep doing it and makes you want to keep putting your hand in that rig in every rodeo?
Bareback riding is super competitive right now. There's some guys riding really, really good. A ton of guys riding really, really good. And that's exciting to me because the direction that the sport is going is just on the up and up. We're seeing new world record scores, and the horsepower is getting really phenomenal. There's also some more professional stock contractors that are starting to invest a little more of their time into making bareback horses specifically instead of saddle bronc horses, which that's exciting because there is a difference, and I think a lot of stock contractors in the past have concentrated more on saddle bronc horses, but there's some contractors that are really raising bareback specific horses, and that's exciting for the sport. But with these great horses coming around, you're just guaranteed to be tested, and that's always been what excites me, is to get on something that pushes you to the limit of what you're able to do. And as far as I know, I'm still improving, so I just want to find out where my own ability is. You'll never really know what you're truly capable of until you try. So I'd like to find out where that is, and I'd like to think that if I start to go over the hill, I'll probably retire, but it's easier said than done, I suppose. But as far as I know, I'm on the upswing, so we'll just see how far it goes.
This has been a big year. What would you say your biggest takeaway has been, or what's a piece of advice that you'd like to share with people?
I guess I'd just like to encourage people to be a person of action. Whatever it is, every day is just like a grizzly bear charging you down. That's life. It's that tough. And there's so many things that people want to do or they don't do, and so much time people waste just spinning their tires, not being a person of action. And I just think I'd like to encourage everybody to just be a person of action, to just act. Whatever it is that you have in your life, whatever adversity there is, there's something that you can do to improve your situation. And it's all a long grind, but you take it one day at a time, and if you keep acting, keep doing something, you're gonna come out on top. It's a person who can continually put effort forth all the time that really will eventually improve their situation, I guess.
Absolutely. Well, Garrett, thank you so much for taking some time to tell your story, and we certainly wish you the best of luck at the national finals here in December. Once again, that was Garrett Shadbolt coming to us from the heart of the Nebraska Sandhills in Merriman, and first-time Wrangler National Finals Rodeo qualifier in the bareback riding. The 2021 edition of the NFR will kick off Thursday, December 2nd in Las Vegas at the Thomas & Mack Center. As a reminder, this podcast is produced by the Rural Radio Network. If you enjoyed this episode of Breaking the Barrier, be on the lookout for Season 2 of the Breaking the Barrier podcast, which will kick off in January of 2022. I'm Rebel Sjeklocha, and you're listening to Breaking the Barrier.